Hello everyone, it's Stephanie, your CSA coach, and this is week 5A of our CSA shares. So I'm going to go over what we received in our shares this week and discuss how to store each item and ideas of what to use them for. One quick announcement, it was in our email, there is a cookbook swap this week on the pickup days, so Tuesday and Thursday, and next week, Tuesday and Thursday. So if you go through your bookcase, look at any cookbooks that you no longer use or no longer want, bring those to the farm, and then to the left of the pickup table is a table with cookbooks all spread out. You can donate yours and pick up a few new ones. So cookbook swap this week and next week during pickup. All right, so we're gonna jump right into what we received this week. We'll start with our lettuces. So we have their salad greens that are already in a bag. This is how I store them. So leave them right in the bag, preferably unwashed. Store them in the fridge. You can also, ideally you want them unwashed because if we have extra moisture in there, they'll go bad quicker. So this is one of the first items, probably the first item that you want to use this week. It's best used within the next couple of days. Keep it in the refrigerator. Once you wash it, if you have extras, then put it in a plastic bag with some paper towels so that the paper towels absorb the moisture. So that's our salad greens. We also have head lettuce. So head lettuce gets stored in the fridge in a plastic bag or a Debbie Meyer green bag, preferably unwashed, so keep it whole just like this. If you do wash it, same thing as our salad greens, you want to put it in a bag with some paper towels or a cloth towel just to absorb the moisture. Both our salad greens and our lettuce are great for salads. The lettuce is good for burgers, for tacos. I like to chop it up as a topping. We generally use it for salads, and I try to mix up, I think I talked about this before, I try to mix up the different dressings or keep it simple and just do the salad greens with a simple vinaigrette, or then start adding some of our other items that we receive or other items that I have. So this is good since the leaves are hardier. You can actually use it as wraps, like lettuce wraps, or make it as a base for your like chicken salad, egg salad, tuna salad, things like that. And you not use bread, use it instead of bread. Or use it as like lettuce, tomato, as a topping on burgers and things like that. So head lettuce stored in the fridge in a plastic bag, preferably unwashed. We received 2 herbs this week. We have our basil. Our basil does not like the refrigerator, so we want to put it in a glass of water on the countertop. Great for pestos, for caprese salads. I usually take like a handful of the basil leaves and throw it in a vinaigrette and blend that up and make like a basil vinaigrette. You can just add it to like pizzas, great for pasta dishes. Basil, if you do make a big batch of pesto, I like to freeze the pesto into cubes and then preserve it that way. So it lasts really well, and then I can just pull out a couple cubes when I need pesto for different items. Pesto is a really good on like a pasta dish, or it's good as a spread on burgers, on sandwiches, on even just like once we get tomatoes, just a basil and tomato, a tomato and pesto, like slice your tomatoes and put some pesto on top. That's really good as well. So I like to make bunches of pesto and then freeze it for later. So that's on our counter, not in the fridge. Basil does not like to be cold. The other herb we got was parsley. Parsley is great for garnishes, really good in soups and stews, in sauces. It dehydrates really well. It also freezes really well. This we want to store in the fridge. So same way, we're going to put it in a glass with water in it. I will likely trim because this is really long, I'll likely trim the bottom of this before I put it in the water, and then store it right in the fridge. So parsley does like to be cold. We have kale again. So kale is great for kale salads. You can do green cubes with it. I made a bunch of green cubes that I'm using in smoothies now just to preserve, because we had so many greens and we've been gone on the weekends, so I haven't been able to use everything. So that's a great way to preserve it. You can go to our PDFs, and there's a PDF that talks about freezer cubes, and that's kind of the guideline I used. Kale, there's also kale chips on the blog. I know there's a kale Caesar salad. It's great to add to smoothies, great to just saute. So we have onions and we have garlic scapes. You could saute with onions and garlic scapes as well as a side. So this gets stored in the fridge in a plastic bag, just like our lettuce, and preferably unwashed, and then wash it before you're gonna use it. Okay, we got to pick sugar snack peas. So these get stored in the fridge as well, if they last that long. So I talked about this last week. Our sugar snap peas never last beyond the day of picking. So I will wash these off, clean them up, and put them out before dinner as a snack, and they'll get eaten. So they're wonderful raw. They're great if you want to cook them in stir fries or as a side. You could chop them up and cook them, or just leave them whole. But we prefer them raw in our family. So they get stored in the fridge in a plastic bag or in your crisper drawer. We have cucumbers. Cucumbers get stored in a plastic bag or in your crisper drawer of your fridge. These are great just to eat as is. They're great if you make slices and use them as a vessel to eat chicken salad, egg salad, tuna salad, or anything like that. Just serve them as a snack. There's a cucumber salad on the blog. There's cucumber mint popsicles on the blog. What else is on there? Cucumber salad. Pickles can always be used for pickles, or just slice them up and add them to your salads. So great snack. So those get stored in the crisper drawer or in a plastic bag in the fridge. We have garlic scapes. Garlic scapes are a lovely addition to our shares the first couple of weeks. They are a mild garlic flavor, so you can use them in anything you would add garlic to. You're just gonna want more if you want a heavier garlic flavor. They're gonna be mild. We grilled them. I believe I just posted that. If not, I posted last week, like I rolled them up and put them on skewers, and I had found a picture of that. So I had posted last week about that. It was a great way to grill them. So I just added a little olive oil and threw them on the grill and used them as a side dish with our meal. So these get stored in the fridge in a plastic bag. If you want to preserve them, because we've been getting them every few weeks and you don't necessarily, I mean, it's a big batch of them, you can chop them up and throw them into ice cube trays with olive oil, or you can just chop them up and throw them in a bag and freeze them. Same thing with the olive oil, the ice cube trays. You want to freeze them and then just label you, once they're frozen, pull them out of the ice cube trays and label them as garlic scape cubes. So kind of similar to the green cubes I make. You could do it with these, or you can just chop them up and throw them in a Ziploc bag and freeze them. So that's a good way to preserve them. You can also chop them up and dehydrate them, or just use them as is. So they're great in sautés, they're great in side dishes, stir fries. If you're making a big stir fry, there's a lot of stuff in our shares this week that would work well in a stir fry. They're also really good in dressings. So those are garlic scapes. New to our shares this week are our onions. These are sweet onions. They are uncured. So unlike the ones we'll get later in the season, they do not have the papery covering on the outside, so they need to go in the refrigerator. So these are stored in the fridge. You can eat the entire thing. So obviously this is more of the sweet onion, and this is gonna taste more like a scallion. If you don't wanna use any parts of it, freeze them. Throw them in your freezer bags. use them for veggie broth. But otherwise stored in a plastic bag in the fridge. Sweet onions are great grilled. They're also really good in dressings. They're good if you want to do like a green saute with your kale. You can do the onions, the garlic scapes, and the kale sauteed. So those are our onions. Our turnips this week. So for the turnips and the kohlrabi, both of these have greens attached. We want to remove the greens before we store them. So remove the bulb at the bottom for the turnip and remove the bulb for the kohlrabi. Store them in a plastic bag separately, and then your greens are also edible, so don't throw them out. Either put them in your freezer bags for veggie broth, or they can be sauteed just like any other green. So they're gonna be stored in a plastic bag in the fridge as well, but separately from the bulbs. So I'm gonna chop these off, put them in one plastic bag, put the greens in a separate plastic bag, both in the fridge. Our turnips are really good roasted. They're also amazing just sliced really thin and put on salads. They're a milder turnip than what we'll see later in the season. You can grill them, you can roast them, you can saute them. Great to add to stir fries. So this would be another item you could stir fry. And then the greens just sauteed. You can also eat them raw if you like them raw. So those are our turnips. Our kohlrabi, we got in a bunch. So this week's recipe is gonna focus on kohlrabi. So stay tuned for that on Thursday. Again, we're gonna remove those top greens. You can saute them, you can use them in smoothies, you can do anything you would with any other green. And then the bulbs are really good raw, which is how we're gonna focus on them for our recipe, but you can also cook them. You can grill them, you can roast them, you can saute them. You can shred them and make a slaw. I know there's a slaw recipe on the blog. I feel like there's a few others that Trisha posted with kohlrabi on our email. So if you're looking for different recipes with kohlrabi, go back to our weekly email and that will help you. But also stay tuned for this week's recipe, which will focus on this lovely vegetable. And I actually think that's it. Again, in terms of what we're doing first, we get all this properly stored and then focus on what you have left from last week or the week before if you're an every other week pickup. Use that up or figure out how you're gonna preserve it, and then focus on the salad greens would be the first thing you wanna use this week. So use those within the next few days and then work through your other vegetables. Anything that you find recipe-wise or think is worth sharing, make sure you post to our Facebook group, and I will see you again next week. Thanks.